What's up, guys? It's a little back with another video here on Solo Hoops. Now today we're going to be ranking NBA teams on whether they can win the NBA Finals this season or not. Easiest way for me to do this, I think at least, is to do a tier list. So we have 6 different tiers. We have the can win NBA Finals tier. This is going to be the tier of teams that I think legitimately have a chance to win the finals. Now, spoiler alert, there can be a team that is the 1 seed or the 2 seed right now that I think doesn't really have a chance winning the finals. And I guess everyone has a chance, but I'm putting the teams up here that I think could win the finals, that I think I can see legitimately holding up Delary O'Brien come June. And we're gonna have some hot takes in this video, so it's gonna be interesting to see. Second tier, we have the contenders tier. This is gonna be the tier of teams where maybe you guys can see them winning the finals, but I'm a little bit lower on them. They're just gonna be contenders, I guess. Then we got the next tier, 1 to 2 pieces away. These are the teams that are just 1 to 2 pieces away. I feel like that doesn't really need explaining. Then we have the happy to be in the play-in tier. These are the teams with pretty low expectations. You guys can probably think of a few right now, but they might sneak into the play-in, and that's about as far as they'll go, or maybe the first round of the playoffs, but they're a first round exit. Then we have the 0% tier. This is the, the tier of teams that are going to miss the playoffs most likely, or maybe they get into the playoffs, but they got a 0% chance to win it all. Then we have the crazy tier. I'll delete my channel if one of these teams were to win the NBA Finals. Y'all already know what type of teams are going in that tier. If you guys haven't, make sure to go down below and see if you're subscribed. If you're not, sub up. We're on the road to 2K subs. But anyways, let's start with the bottom of the NBA standings, and let's start with the East. So the team that is in 15th place in the East, in last place, is the Detroit Pistons. This team is going to go in the I'll delete my channel tier if they were to win the NBA Finals. Do they have a shot? I don't even think so. I mean, they're 4-36. They lose a few more games and they are mathematically eliminated from playoff contention in January. I don't know how many times it's happened, but that's gotta be very rare. The next team is gonna be the Washington Wizards. Again, another team. If they win the NBA Finals, I'll delete my channel. I feel like we don't really gotta talk about them too much. Next up, in the East, the 13th best team is going to be the Charlotte Hornets. I'll put them in 0% chance. If they were to win it all, I wouldn't necessarily delete my channel. I don't think they're that much of a, bad team, that much of a troll team. They're pretty bad. They got a 0% chance to win it all. And I mean, they're 8-29. They'll probably be eliminated from playoff contention here in, another like 10, 15 games. But yeah, they got a 0% chance. Next up, we have the Toronto Raptors. And this is going to be my first team that I put in the happy to make the play-in tier. They're in a weird spot. They're making trades. Pascal Siakam should be traded soon to potentially one of the contenders or the can win NBA Finals teams that we're going to see. But yeah, the Raptors, I think, would just be happy to make the play-in this weird transition period where they're kind of building around Scotty Barnes. They just brought in RJ quickly. I think they'd just be happy to make the play. And next up, we have the Atlanta Hawks, and they are probably going to be trading DeJounte Murray. And I don't know if they could go in happy to make the play-in, or they could go in 0%. I'm not really sure. I'm just going to put them in 0% because I don't even know if they'd be happy to make the play-in. Next up, the 10th seed in the East is currently the Brooklyn Nets, and we're going to put this team also in the 0% tier because there's just no chance that they win the NBA Finals if we're being realistic about things. Then the 9th seed currently in the East is the Chicago Bulls, who I mean, would they be happy to make the play-in? Like, I don't think so. I think Bulls fans are kind of fed up. They either want to go for it all or they want to completely tear it down and rebuild. So honestly, let's just put them in 0% because I don't think they're a team that would just be happy to make the play-in. I really don't. Next up, we have the 8th seed, the Orlando Magic. Now, this is a weird team because they're a team that started off hot. They were, I think, maybe number 1 in the East. I don't know. They were like top 3 for sure. Now they are the 8th seed, so they're kind of plummeting. Are they 1 to 2 pieces away? Not now. I think if you give them 1 to 2 or one, great star piece this season, I still don't think they win. So we're going to put them in happy to make the play-in, but in a few years, the Magic could definitely be a team that could be a contender. Next up, we have the New York Knicks. And before I put them in a tier, I found a very interesting stat about them. So when you go to the NBA standings, there's a feature that allows you to kind of expand it and see records for different things, within 3-point games, 10-point games. You can see when they played teams that are 500 or better or below 500. You could also see overtime games, but that's not on the screen. But what I found is I was looking, is there any outliers? Are there teams that just beat up on the bad teams but can't win against the really good teams, the teams that are above 500? So we get a team right here. You guys can see they are 7-17 when they play a team that is 500 and above, and they're 16-0 when they play a team that is below 500. Any guesses as to what team this is? I mean, y'all already know because we're talking about it. But it is the New York Knicks. I know my face isn't on the screen anymore. The New York Knicks are 16-0 against teams that are worse than 500. I don't even know how that's possible because no other team in the NBA has that type of record. Everyone has a few losses against the bad teams, and they're 7-17 against the good teams. I know there's a lot of Knicks fans. They're one of the most popular teams, so a lot of people want me to put them in can win NBA Finals, but realistically, y'all Knicks fans probably think I'm gonna put you in contenders. I'm not even going to do that. I still think the Knicks, they got Brunson, they got Randall, now they brought in OG Anunoby, but is that enough? Especially in the East where you got some of these really good teams. We're going to get to them in a second, but I think they're still 1 to 2 pieces away. Obviously, they might get Donovan Mitchell soon. I don't know. Seems like he kind of wants to be a Knick. He has like New York ties, and I know the Knicks have been, you know, in talks of getting him, not really via a trade. It sounds like the Cavs aren't going to trade him. But maybe one day when his contract ends, I think this season actually it ends. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think it does. I unfortunately got to put the Knicks in the 1 to 2 pieces away range. Next up, the 6th seed, we have the Indiana Pacers. Obviously, they are dealing with an injury to Tyrese Haliburton right now. He should be back in, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I'm not really sure the timetable on it. I think they're going to reevaluate him in 2 weeks. And I don't really think they're contenders. So I'm going to put them in 1 to 2 pieces away. You obviously got Haliburton playing at an all-star starter, all NBA type level, and you got Miles Turner. You got some other solid players on the team, but I think they are 1 to 2 pieces away. I don't really think the Pacers are contenders this year, as great of a season as they've been having. And also, when you look at offensive rating, the Pacers are the #1 team in the NBA. I believe this is the best offensive season ever in NBA history. The Pacers are having the best offensive season ever, which is crazy because the Kings last year had a really good one. So yeah, we're gonna go with the Knicks and the Pacers in the 1 to 2 pieces away range. Then we have the 5 seed, the Miami Heat, which I don't really see them winning this season. Obviously, they've been to 2 finals in the past. What has it been? 4 years. They lost to the Lakers and they lost to the Nuggets as the 8 seed. Making it all the way there was kind of crazy. Jimmy Butler's been banged up a lot this year, and when he's been out there, he hasn't been that Jimmy Butler level type player that he has been in the past. He's been solid, but he hasn't been like the Jimmy that we know him to be. However, Bam's been playing out of his mind. Tyler Hero's been great when he's out there. Jaime Jaquez as a rookie is looking really good. He's like the 3rd best rookie in the league. I think the Heat are one of those teams that stuff would just have to break their way. Other teams would have to, probably have some injuries, or they could make a trade. Potentially the Heat, if they make a trade, then yeah. If they bring in, DeJounte Murray or one of these players that are rumored to be traded, then yeah, they can win the NBA Finals. They're obviously above the tier of 1 to 2 pieces away. They could probably win as, it currently stands with their roster, but yeah, I don't see it. So they're in that tier below, where like they're right there. Next up, we have the 4 seed in the East, and can the Cleveland Cavaliers win the NBA Finals? I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna put them in the tier right below can win NBA Finals. I want to put them in the contenders range. I don't think so. Garland's been banged up. He should be back in like a week, I think. And then Mobley should be back in a little bit over a month. They're just banged up. They're still hanging in there. They're getting solid production from guys like Karis LeVert, Max Strus. But when they stack up against some of these elites, top of the league teams, the Cavs aren't one of the teams that I see holding up the Larry O'Brien trophy come June. They're in the tier below. Next up, we have the 3 seed out East. This is going to be the Philadelphia 76ers, and they're going to be the first team that I'm putting in the can win NBA Finals tier. When you have the absolute best player in the NBA, Joel Embiid, who's putting up crazy numbers, pretty much 35 points per game, almost 12 rebounds per game. He's solid on defense. He's insane at the free throw line, almost 90% from the free throw line. You can win it all, but he's got to play. Joel Embiid's already missed like 10 games this year. He's in danger of losing a chance at winning MVP. I think if he misses like another like 8 or 9 games this year, he can't even qualify to win it. But when he's out there, the 76ers definitely have a chance to win it all. Tyrese Maxey's been having a great year. This is another team where I kind of want to see them make a move come the trade deadline, but even as it stands right now, I would say that they can win the NBA Finals. The second seed out east is going to be the Milwaukee Bucks, and they're going to be the second team that I put in the can win NBA Finals tier. When you got Giannis Antetokounmpo, a 2-time league MVP, and you got Damian Lillard on the same team, I mean, you always got a chance to win the NBA Finals, and they've been heating up. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, the Bucks are kind of an up and down team, but 2 nights ago we had Dame time where he had a clutch 3 from almost the logo to win in overtime against the Kings. This is a team that has some pretty big win. They just blew out the Celtics by 50 almost. I mean, I know it was off a back-to-back. They travel. It was kind of weird, but the Bucks still blew out the Celtics, who's kind of known as the best team in the NBA right now, by 40 or 50. So you got to give it to them. They can go toe to toe with some of the best teams in the league, and they definitely have a chance to win the NBA Finals. I don't think anybody would argue that. The number 1 team in the East, we know who that is. It is the Boston Celtics, and we're definitely gonna be putting them in the can win NBA Finals tier. I feel like we don't gotta talk about this team much. When you look at offensive numbers, they are 3rd. When you look at defensive numbers, they are 2nd. Top 3 in both. It's just a perfect recipe to win the NBA Finals. Are they my pick to win the NBA Finals? Probably not. I don't know who I'd pick. If I had to pick one, maybe it's a team we're gonna get to later, but Celtics definitely have a good shot to be back in the NBA Finals and potentially win it this year. Okay, so now we're going over to the Western Conference, and again, we're starting at the bottom, which the 15th team in the West is going to be the San Antonio Spurs. They're 7-32. Would I delete my channel if they won the NBA Finals? No, because I think they're better than the Pistons and the Wizards. I like their roster a little bit more. They got Wemby, you got Keldon, Vassell, even Trey Jones. So you know what I'm saying? Sohan. They got some guys. I'll put them in the 0% chance because they're not going to win it all. You know what I'm saying? They got a 0% chance to win it all. Are they even going to have a chance to make the playoffs? Probably no, probably not. But would I delete my channel if they somehow won it all? I don't think that it would make me that mad to where I delete my channel. No. The 14th best team in the West is going to be the Portland Trailblazers. They have a 0% chance to win the NBA Finals this year. They are currently 10-29, and some of the rosters that they are sending out there in these recent games is just crazy. Like Scoot Henderson is one of their best players, and he is like one of the worst players in the NBA this year. The 13th best team in the West is the Memphis Grizzlies. Now you guys are probably thinking I'll put them in the 0% here. Nah, I will delete my channel if the Memphis Grizzlies were to somehow win the NBA Finals this season. I mean, they are sending out lineups where you got, Vince Williams, you got Jake LaRavia, you got John Conchar, you got Jacob Gilyard, Xavier Tillman. Like, these lineups are crazy. Luke Kennard, GG Jackson was their best player last night. Do y'all know who GG Jackson is? Like, majority of y'all probably don't. Well, maybe now you do because he went off, but I mean, I always thought he was going to be pretty good coming out of the draft. I got a tweet about it, but that's beside the point. But nah, the lineups they're sending out there are crazy. Ja's done for the year. Bane's out for like 6 weeks. Jaren's been injured. So yeah, I'd delete my channel if the Grizzlies somehow find a way to win the NBA Finals this year. Next up, and this is the 12th best team in the West, and it is my Golden State Warriors. Now, I'm not going to be biased. And the thing is, when you have a team with Stephen Curry, you always kind of have a chance to win the NBA Finals. Well, actually, I don't know if that's true because they're still struggling. Like, they just lost to the Grizzlies, where I would delete my channel if they won the finals. They just lost to them today, last night when you guys are seeing this video. But so I think the Warriors, as it stands, are 1 to 2 pieces away. I know some of y'all might think they're contenders. Well, actually, you probably don't. That's probably only Warriors fans, but even I'm a Warriors fan, and I'm going to say they're 1 to 2 pieces away. Would we be happy to make the play-in? No. We would not just be happy to make the play-in. The Warriors are a team that are on the last few years of Stephen Curry's career, and we want to win it all. So I do think we're 1 to 2 pieces away, but at the same time, let's say we were to bring in Lauri Markkanen. I don't know what we'd end up giving up. Maybe Chris Paul and Trace Jackson Davis or Kuminga. I don't know what it would exactly be, but let's say we got Lauri Markkanen on the team, right? He's with Curry, maybe Clay. I know Clay's rumored to be traded. I don't even know if that team can win the NBA Finals. Like, if we're post Warriors trade and they bring in, say, Markkanen or Pascal, I don't think that I'd be confident enough to be like, yeah, I could see us holding up the trophy, because this team has been that bad. We have really been that bad, and we have just underperformed so bad to the point where obviously this tier is 1 to 2 pieces away. I feel like we're 2 pieces away. Like, the Warriors team, We might have to make 2 trades if we really want to win it all this year. I'm just being honest. The 11th best team in the West, and this is, you know, the most popular team in the NBA, I'm pretty sure. The Los Angeles Lakers. I'm putting them right there with the Warriors. These are 2 teams that aren't even in the play-in. If the season were to end today, the Lakers and the Warriors would not make the play-in. These are 2 teams that have been losing to bad teams, been getting very bad losses, and they both need to make a trade. So I would be shocked if the trade deadline passed and neither of these teams made a trade. I think they both will make trades because you got LeBron James at the end of his career, you got Stephen Curry at the end of his career, and as the current rosters stand, no, the Warriors and the Lakers can't win it all. They can't as it stands. So these are 2 teams that will have to make trades, and if they do, maybe we'll make another video like this and maybe they'll be higher up in the ranks. But as it stands right now, they're 1 to 2 pieces away. Next up, we got one of my favorite teams this year. This is going to be the current 10 seed in the West, the Houston Rockets, which I will put in the happy to make the play-in. They aren't going to win it all, so technically you could put them in the 0% tier, but also, I mean, the Raptors and the Magic technically could also be in the 0% tier, but the Rockets are one of the most young teams in the NBA, and they're one of my favorite teams because I love watching Sengun. I also got him on my fantasy team. I got Jalen Green on my fantasy team. I had Fran VanVleet on my fantasy team earlier this year. I like Jabari Smith a lot. They just got a lot of fun players. They also got some injured, suspended players like Kevin Porter Jr. Dylan Brooks has been banged up, but this is a team that, you know, in a few years, maybe they can win the NBA Finals. But right now, the Rockets can't. With the 9 seed, we have the Utah Jazz, which they feel like a team that isn't going to be in the play-in come the end of the year. Obviously, the Warriors and the Lakers are on the outside of looking in. So one of them will probably take the Jazz spot, and potentially both of them get in and they take the Rocket spot as well. So would the Jazz be happy to make the play-in? I don't know. I don't think so. So I'm just going to put the Jazz in the 0% tier. All right, it's time to get controversial. We have the 8th seed in the Western Conference. Now, the Phoenix Suns. That is the 8th seed. Where do we put them? Are they 1 to 2 pieces away? Are they contenders? Or should we put them in can win the NBA Finals? This is a very hard one. It's maybe the hardest one of the video. I kind of do want to put them above the Warriors and Lakers. So that puts them in the contenders tier as it stands. I like their offense a lot. Defensively, they are about league average. I think 16th when it comes to defensive rating. Offensively, they are like 11th. I would like to see them make a move. They got kind of a very offensive focused team, but when KD, Booker, and Beal have been out there at the same time, they have looked very good. So I'm tempted to put them in the can win NBA Finals tier, but I know that's a little bit crazy. We probably got to see a little bit more from them. But in this video, we're kind of predicting what's going to happen. We're projecting. So right now, maybe it doesn't seem like they can win the NBA Finals, but I got to guess what things will look like come April when the playoffs come around. And I'm tempted to put them in can win the NBA Finals, but you know, we'll keep them down here in the contenders tier. 7th seed in the West is going to be the New Orleans Pelicans, and I don't think they can win the NBA Finals this year. Are they contenders? Are they in that tier below can win the NBA Finals? Potentially. Are they in the 1 to 2 pieces away range? I mean, technically, because I don't know. The way I think of the Pelicans is like they might be 1 to 2 years away, because I don't think they're going to win this year. So maybe next year or the year after, if I don't know, they're in a weird spot. I don't think they can win it. So I don't know what tier to put them in, contenders or 1 to 2 pieces away. Either way, they're not winning it, in my opinion. 6th seed in the West is the Dallas Mavericks, who have been having some pretty overperforming players and just over exceeding expectations, at least in my opinion. I did not think the Mavs would be as good as they are. Obviously, you have Luka, you know, you knew he was going to go crazy. But Kyrie's been going crazy. You got Derrick Jones Jr., who's been stepping up. And I mean, I'm not even talking about individual players, but just the team has been overperforming. I thought they'd be more of like a 10 seed, maybe 9, maybe even miss the play. And I thought the West was pretty stacked this year to start. But they're the 6th seed right now. But I still think they're 1 to 2 pieces away. You obviously got Luka, you got Kyrie, but after that, you don't really got much. You don't even got defense. Like if you had like some solid defensive role players that weren't even that good on offense, you still got Luka and Kyrie, you know what I'm saying? But they don't really got that. Grant Williams is kind of supposed to be that guy, but like he doesn't really excite me. You know what I'm saying? Like I think this team definitely fits the tier of 1 to 2 pieces away. The 5th seed in the West is going to be the Sacramento Kings. Are they 1 to 2 pieces away? Are they contenders? Can they win the NBA Finals? I would say they are either contenders or 1 to 2 pieces away. I don't think the Kings are going to win it all this year. I'll put the Kings in the contenders tier, although I personally don't see them winning it all, but they could make it out of the first round, maybe even the second round. But you know, winning 4 series in the playoffs, I don't think the Kings have that in them this year. 4 seed out west is one of the hottest teams in the entire NBA. We have the LA Clippers, and this is gonna be my first team in the West that I put in the can win NBA Finals tier. Yes, I think the Clippers can win it all since they've gotten in this rhythm with James Harden. I know the first few games are bad. They lost like 5 straight games, and I feel like it was kind of like a bad first impression to a lot of fans, to a lot of people that don't watch the NBA every single night or just keep up with it. I think a lot of people think the Clippers are not that good and James Harden is still a problem. He's been hooping. He's been putting up like 20 and 10 the last month. Kawhi's been going crazy. Paul George's been hooping. Russell Westbrook is embracing his role off the bench. This team is meshing. I don't think they really need to add anything. Maybe we'll see them make a move at the deadline. As their roster stands right now, they could win it all. I am confident in that. The 3 seed in the West currently is the Denver Nuggets. This is who I think will be the 1 seed come the end of the year. I've said that in my videos before. I'm just kind of waiting. I just feel like it's going to happen. I just feel like they are probably the best team in the West, especially when you like factor in regular season. Maybe you don't want to say they're the best team in the playoffs, although I'd probably say they're the best team regular season, playoffs. They're probably my favorite to win it all. If I had to pick one team, I might just run it back with the Nuggets, although the Celtics are pretty loaded. Celtics might be my pick if it came down to it, but Nuggets Celtics, that might be the finals we see. Do we really have to explain that the Nuggets can win the NBA finals? I don't think so. This is where it gets absolutely controversial because we got the hottest 2 teams in the Western Conference this year. 2 teams that no one expected to be at the top of the Western Conference, at least the 1st and 2nd seed. We have the OKC Thunder and we have the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Thunder are the 2nd seed currently, and do I think they can win the NBA Finals this year? I'm gonna make a hot take. I'm gonna make a stand right now, right? I'm gonna say the OKC Thunder cannot win the NBA Finals. I'm gonna put them 1 tier below can win the NBA Finals. I'm gonna put them in the contenders tier. This is a team that is currently top 4 in both offensive and defensive rating. That's a very good metric. It's a very simple metric to determine how good a team is offensively and defensively. However, when it comes to the playoffs, there's a few things that I personally value and care about a lot. One of them being experience. I don't think this team has a lot of experience. They have a lot of young players, a lot of players that haven't even played a single game in the NBA playoffs. I think that's going to matter. Can they win a series in the playoffs? Yeah. Will they? Probably. They'll probably win a series, maybe 2. Maybe they'll go to the Western Conference Finals. But do I think they're going to win the NBA Finals? I'm gonna make a hot take and say no, because this is the hardest team that I've said no to all video. But I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna say I don't think the Thunder can do it. I also don't think they're deep enough. When you look at their bench, you got, you know, Cason Wallace, you got Kenrich Williams, you got Isaiah Joe, you got Micic. These are just guys that, you know, aren't experienced or just aren't. I just don't like their bench. I don't think they're deep. SGA carries them a lot. He's very clutch, and so I think he can go off in the playoffs. If they were going to win the NBA Finals, though, SGA would have to go on like a historic run. Like he would really cement himself as like a top like 2 player in, maybe even though he'd be the best player, I guess, in the NBA if he really were to carry the Thunder to the NBA Finals, you know, and actually win it. And the current 1 seed in the West, the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm going to say that the Timberwolves can win the NBA Finals. I know some people are going to be mad about this because I just said the Thunder can't win the NBA Finals, but the Timberwolves can. And there's a few things. The Timberwolves are currently the #1 team when it comes to defense. They have the #1 ranked defensive rating team, and it's not even close. When you talk about offensive rating, though, they're 20th. But I think their defense can carry them. And also, I think the Timberwolves are a lot deeper than the OKC Thunder. You got the starters in Mike Conley, and Jaden McDaniels, Cat, and Rudy. And then off the bench, you got Naz Reid, Shake Milton, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Kyle Anderson. These are just guys that I feel way more confident about than, say, the OKC Thunder's bench, as I just talked about. Cason Wallace, Isaiah Joe, Kenrich Williams, Micic. Like, I like the Timberwolves a little bit more. They are more deep in my opinion. I think offensively, like I said, they're 20th, but I think that can improve, especially come playoff time. Last season, we saw them go up against the Nuggets. They got blown out in game 1, but the other 4 games very competitive. They won a game, so they lost 4-1 to the Nuggets, who ended up winning it all. But I remember the Nuggets, I don't know if it was Jokic or MPJ, I believe one of them afterwards in like a podcast. I watch a lot of podcasts. I think one of them said that their hardest series was the Timberwolves in round 1. And the Timberwolves, another year of experience, and they're actually healthy because last year they didn't have, I believe, Naz Reid and Jaden McDaniels, who are a huge contribution as to why they are the best defensive team in the league. I think the Timberwolves can definitely win it all. This is it. This is my final rankings of all the teams. We have 3 teams in the West that can win the NBA Finals. We have the Nuggets, we have the Clippers, and we have the Timberwolves. And then in the East, we have the Celtics, Sixers, and Bucks. Obviously, I ranked all the teams, so you can go back if you skipped to this part of the video and you want to hear about a certain team. I'll delete my channel if somehow the Grizzlies, Pistons, or Wizards were to win it all. Sub if you guys haven't.